welcome everyone to Missouri Valley Conference Katz Chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Rob Ehsan, the head coach of UIC. And Rob, 8 games in, 50-50 here. One game down in the Valley, lost to Northern Iowa. Let's first get a sense where this group was at as you were trying to put all these pieces together.
Yeah, I think it's 11 new guys and a great group of high character kids. And I think we're kind of in a unique spot. We've had a unique first 7 or 8 games here where we've played really well and beat, obviously a really good Yale team and a really good LaSalle team by a wide margin. And then we've turned around in Northern Iowa, obviously got us pretty good in the first Valley game, and then we kind of lost to James Madison. So we've yet to play like a close game, which is unique. We've had an incredibly tough schedule, and we're going to continue to have that leading into Valley play here. I think we're the number 1 or 2 ranked schedule in the conference. So it's a great test for our guys. I think we're all, myself included, trying to figure out lineups and rotations, and we want to play fast and shoot a lot of threes. And so how does that fit with a deep team? And it's good, but it's been a great experience thus far, and I'm excited about our opportunity in what is a great basketball league.
So this is sort of head coaching 2.0 for you.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, the UAB thing ended right at the end of the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken.
Right when the pandemic started. Yeah.
Right. Excuse me. Yeah. Pandemic starts, and then, that's when that ends, which is sort of odd timing.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, just like in that from 2020 to 24, this 4-year stretch, in what way did you sort of work on your own craft to be ready for this next opportunity?
Yeah, I think our business, first I'll say, you never know, right? It's so hard. You never know if you'll ever get another opportunity. When I was going through that, and I've told people this before. I think 2020, the COVID year, I was out of coaching. I was doing some media, was arguably the most transformational year of my life. Just a great opportunity to do a lot of things, mentor some young GAs. I started a GA program. Did a deep dive into who I was as a coach, who I wanted to be. I mean, we had success at UAB. We had won 20 games roughly on average almost every year there and had some success. Never could maybe get over the top. So I think, my older self, I'm still relatively young, but my older self is much different. I think I'm a much better CEO, if you will, now. And nowadays, maybe more than ever in our sport, you have to be a good CEO. But, I worked as a head coach in my first UAB job like an assistant, as funny as that sounds. And I think, developing my staff, trusting my staff, delegating more, taking a more 30,000-foot view of the program, not micromanaging every offense under out of bounds play and every sideline out of bounds as the head coach, which I used to do. I think all those things, have kind of put me in a position to take on this new challenge. And it's UIC is an amazing place, but not a lot of basketball tradition. So it's a great challenge for us. We have a group that's excited to kind of rewrite history and make our stamp on UIC.
Yeah, no, I've always thought that it's sort of untapped. Friendly with Howard Moore, and when he was there, obviously I thought there was a chance there. They've gone through a couple coaches in between that, and when Howard was there, and still sort of searching who's the right guy, what's the right fit, and then in the middle of all this, you change leagues, and the whole sport gets thrown up in the air with the portal and NIL and collectives. So to your point, you almost have to become more of a CEO and delegate and figure all these other pieces out as you're building a roster every year. What have you seen in your short stint there of that potential at UIC within Chicago amid all these changes?
So I think, yes, the biggest thing is this. When I first got here, and we're shotgunning recruiting visits, right? Like weekend after weekend to try to build a roster. I think the biggest thing I noticed is the city of, man, you can do a great visit here. The city of Chicago, the West Loop, Fulton Market District, where we are close, is an amazing up and coming place. And so as we started to bring in recruits, I also was able to get a sense of, you got to find the right student athlete who wants to be in this kind of market, in this kind of environment. And I think one thing we've done a great job and will continue to do is international kids, big city, internet, one of the biggest international cities in the world. So I think you got to sell the location, obviously. That's, to me, that's the number one thing. We have a great facility. We have a new administration, relatively, a new chancellor. She's relatively new, a brand new athletic director within the last week. I'm new. I think there's a lot of optimism. Like, why not? Why can't, UIC athletics and UIC basketball be great? I think we got to build our fan base. I mean, that is the one of the number one things. And we are just like everybody in the Valley, in a mid-major schools, we are trying as a university to figure out where we're going to land with all the new rules and what that's going to look like. Because we got to build donor support. We got to build fan base. The Missouri Valley has one of the best mid-major leagues, I would think, for competitive home court advantages. We're not there yet. Hopefully this year some success will help build that. But this is an interesting time. But I think it has a chance to be good.
From your imprint, from what you did at UAB, your stints at Stanford, what do you hope this team, this program looks like as the season progresses in terms of the court?
Yeah, I think our guys, I mean, we've talked about, the way we want to play, the way we want to live, the culture we want to build. And if, as you're building a house, if you will, we want to, this year, we want to lay a foundation for how we're going to act on a daily basis, as cliche as it sounds, how we're going to approach practice, how we're going to approach games. And listen, 11 new guys. I've said this, like, we want to go for it. I mean, we want to go for it. A lot of transfers from some good places, some good young guys, 2 returning starters from last year's team. Like, we want to go for it. First Valley game was rough. Northern Iowa, obviously a great program, a lot of tradition and history there. But we want to put ourselves in a position to, when Arch Madness comes, we can be there. We could be right there. And I was in that position as the head coach at UAB my last couple of years in the conference tournament. And that's our goal. And we want to give it a shot.
And lastly, for Valley fans that may not know your roster as well,
yeah,
who should they be thinking about, as the season progresses, could be one of those all Valley type players?
Yeah, I mean, to start the first 8 games, we have a Sasha Siani. He's an international transfer student, was at Xavier last year. He's one of the best rebounders in the country. Big Mo, Modestus Clanceris, who call him Big Mo. As I said, he's another transfer international kid from Lithuania, senior. Those 2 big guys have really made a tremendous impact so far. Philip Scoball is a returning preseason all-conference Valley player. And then, honestly, we have a lot of depth and a lot of guards, Jordan Mason, Javon Jackson, Ahmad Henderson. Like, we have a lot of depth kind of yet to be determined of who, could emerge. But we have a lot of possibilities there of guys that I think could step in. And at the end of this year, you're like, wow, that guy had a great year. And I'm excited that it's not just 1 or 2 guys on our team right now. I think you could say that about 4 or 5.
Well, great. We're going to be looking forward to tracking it all season. Welcome to the Valley again in this format. So we appreciate it, Rob. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.